Battle Prime patch 14.1 is finally here. New progression systems, new upgrades, new game mode, new maps. At least, that's what the update wants players to focus on. But after spending time with patch 14.1, I think this update accidentally revealed something much bigger.
Because this no longer feels like a game update designed to improve Battle Prime.
It feels like a monetization expansion disguised as content, and honestly, that's terrifying for the future of this game. Because Battle Prime used to be special, and if you played this game years ago, you know exactly what I mean. Before Battle Prime became obsessed with progression systems, it was obsessed with gameplay, and that is why people loved it. The gunplay felt tactical, movement felt grounded, gunfights felt fair. If you lost a fight, you usually knew why. Bad aim, bad positioning, bad decision making. Simple. Back then, abilities were useful, but they didn't completely dominate the game. Battle Prime felt like a skill-based tactical FPS first and a hero shooter second. That balance was important because players felt rewarded for mastery, not rewarded for spending. Now, let's talk about patch 14.1 because this update introduced something that perfectly represents the direction Battle Prime is moving toward. Artificial progression inflation. For years, level 40 was the end game. Players spent months grinding for it. Then suddenly, the game extends progression to level 50. But here's the problem. This isn't meaningful progression. This is economic progression. Now players need more tokens, more upgrade materials, more currencies, more grinding, or of course, more money. And this is where many players started realizing Battle Prime is no longer monetizing cosmetics, it's monetizing competitiveness. That's a huge difference, because now free-to-play players feel permanently behind, not temporarily behind, permanently. At this point, upgrading a weapon in Battle Prime feels less like military progression and more like trying to refinance a house loan. Now technically, some people will argue, bro, the game is not fully pay to win. Okay, but here's the thing, competitive games are built on perception, and once players feel the game is unfair, the damage is already done. That's what Battle Prime doesn't seem to understand. In FPS games, players need to believe, I lost because I played worse, not I lost because his weapon evolved into a transformer. And patch 14.1 pushes the game even further into that dangerous territory. Because now progression advantage matters more than ever, especially against fully upgraded players. And eventually, skill stops feeling rewarding. That is the biggest problem. Now let's talk about the new game mode and maps, because honestly, this part is really interesting. When patch 14.1 introduced the new mode with 3 maps, many players immediately noticed something familiar. These assets look extremely similar to Project Rush B. For people who don't know, Project Rush B was another shooter project connected to the same developer ecosystem years ago. The game failed to launch successfully around 2022, and now, Battle Prime appears to be reusing many of those existing assets and environments. Now to be fair, reusing assets is normal in game development. Every studio does it, but the issue here is not the asset reuse itself. The issue is what it represents, because these new maps don't feel like a major evolution for Battle Prime. They feel like recycled content being repackaged as innovation, and players can feel that difference immediately. Reused visual elements, because when players hear new mode, they expect new gameplay experiences, not unused content from another project. And honestly, I think this shows a much bigger problem happening behind the scenes. Battle Prime currently feels like a game trying to maximize efficiency, instead of maximizing creativity. And this is where things become dangerous long-term, because multiplayer games do not survive because of whales alone. They survive because of ecosystems. Free-to-play players matter, casual players matter, average players matter. These people fill matchmaking, create communities, keep the game alive, create competition. But patch 14.1 pushes the game further into a direction where many players feel, what's the point anymore? And once players lose motivation to grind, they stop caring. Then, matchmaking gets worse. Player retention drops, new player onboarding becomes harder, community slowly disappears, and eventually, even whales leave too, because no one wants to spend money in a dying ecosystem. But honestly, the saddest part about Battle Prime is this: the foundation is still amazing, the graphics are still good, the animations are still satisfying, the gunplay still has potential. This game could still be one of the best mobile FPS games on the market. But right now, it feels like the developers are prioritizing monetization systems over gameplay identity. And that's heartbreaking for longtime players, because we already saw how good Battle Prime used to be. We know what this game is capable of. That's why people are frustrated. Not because they hate Battle Prime, but because they miss what Battle Prime used to be. At the end of the day, players are not leaving Battle Prime because they hate the game. They're leaving because they loved it. People stayed for years because Battle Prime used to reward skill, game sense, positioning, mastery. Not because someone bought another progression shortcut. Patch 14.1 feels less like a gameplay update and more like another monetization layer built on top of an already exhausted system. And that's dangerous, because when a competitive FPS stops respecting fairness, eventually players stop respecting progression. Then they stop spending time. Then they stop spending money. And finally, they stop playing. This video is not telling people to hate Battle Prime. This video is telling players, stop rewarding bad direction. Because if players continue supporting systems that destroy competitive balance, nothing will change. Not the progression, not the matchmaking, not the fairness, and definitely not the future of this game. Battle Prime still has potential, but potential means nothing if every update pushes the game further away from its original identity. So until the developers start prioritizing gameplay over monetization, I only have one thing left to say.